So good afternoon, everybody. We are here to start on with our business studies session for today. And we are going to continue with chapter number 4. The title of the chapter is Business Services. As discussed yesterday, we talked about what exactly services are. So we got to know that services are basically different from goods because goods are basically tangible. They are the physical product. But when we talk about services, they are basically intangible, right? When we discussed few examples as well, wherein one of the example was of the doctor, then of the lawyer, and then we came upon an example wherein we were talking about a movie theater, right? So then we came upon the nature of services, wherein we discussed some of the prominent features. We discussed only 3 yesterday, and today we are going to continue with the features. So when we talk about the first feature, we talked about it is intangibility. That is basically it does not have any physical appearance, right? An example was basically a service of a doctor. Then we came upon the second feature. It is basically inconsistency. Inconsistency means that it is variable. That means it tends to change according to each customer. That means the services which we are providing to anybody, it does not remain the same. It tends to change. It tends to fluctuate. The third one is inseparability, which we talked about. Inseparability was basically when we talk about when the service is produced, it has to be consumed there only. Like we discussed upon an example where we talked about Starbucks coffee. So it is a good. I'm purchasing a coffee, it is a good for me, right? So if I'm purchasing that particular coffee, I can consume that coffee at my home as well. So inseparability, that means when it is a service, you cannot separate it from the time when it is being produced. Now we are going to start on with our fourth feature for today of services. The fourth feature is no inventory. Now inventory, what do you understand by inventory? Inventory is basically the kind of goods that you actually stock, okay? The stock that you pile up in order to provide the customer satisfaction. You need to have that much goods with you in order to provide the satisfaction to the customer. But when we talk about services, service you have to provide करनी है, उसके लिए you don't need to have inventory, right? Let me just quote it with an example. Let's suppose that we were talking about a movie theater, right? When we talk about a movie theater, what happens there? People are coming, they are visiting, right? So let's suppose I have a movie theater wherein 100 seats are there, okay? And suddenly people, started booking their seats and everything. But when the time started, when the movie started, only 75 of the seats were being taken. That means 25 of the seats of that particular hall or that movie theater were vacant. Vacant means nobody came, nobody sat there. So what is this? This is my loss. I am providing a service. I am allowing people to come in my theater and watch a particular movie. But they did not come. They did not turn up. So 25 seats were vacant. So what is that? That is my loss. I did not have any inventory for it. But if the people do not consume my service when it is being produced, it will be a direct loss for me, right? जब the service is being started, जब आपकी movie चल रही है, that is a service you are giving, right? And that time, if the people are not turning up, जब आपके पास customers नहीं आ रहे उसके लिए, so what it will be? It will be a direct loss. It actually connects to one of the feature that we studied, this inseparability. Okay, these are both connected. Why they are connected? Because when the service is produced, उसी time the customer has to actually consume that particular service. Otherwise, it will be a direct loss for the person who is providing the service to the customer, right? Let's proceed on to the next one. Next is involvement. Now, if you see in the picture, what do you see? There's a particular guy who's in the salon and he's doing shaving for the person. What does it mean? It means that participation of the customer in the service delivery process is a must. Obviously, involvement nahi hoga, so how will the person provide you a service? Again, let's take few examples. If we talk about movie hall, right? अब हम movie की बात कर रहे हैं. If the person, if any customer is not going to watch the movie, if the person is not involved, how will the service go on? If I don't go to a salon, how will the person give me the service? Not possible, right? If I talk about makeup, if I go to a makeup studio and I ask for makeup, but I say no, I will not be involved, then how will the person give me the service? Again, when I talk about a doctor, if I will not be available for the doctor, if I'm not there, how will he see me? He will not be able to see me, right? He will not be able to, provide me the service. So again, involvement is the must. That means the customer should be involved in the delivery process of the service. That means when the service is being delivered, when the service is being given, the person should be available there. Okay, and hence involvement or the participation of a particular customer is important, right everyone? So we discussed all the 5 points, wherein the last no inventory and the involvement we discussed right now. Okay, so we are done with the features now. Last two were left. So we discussed no inventory, wherein we talked about that there is no need to pile up the stock. Okay, because it is a service. But even if there is no stock, if the person does not consume the service where it is being produced, just time it is being produced, the place it is where it is produced, if they're not consuming there, then what will happen? Exactly what will happen is they will incur a loss, which will be a direct loss. That means it cannot be sorted. It will be a direct and simple loss, right? And the next one we talked about involvement, wherein we talked about that the people, the person who's there, the person who's always, who's getting the services, the person who is the customer, he needs to be present. His involvement, his participation is very, very keen and important for the same. Let's proceed on. So now we are switching on to the difference between the services and the goods. We have already discussed a bit, during the features when we were talking about. We already have a gist about what exactly there could be a difference between services and goods. Let's proceed forward. Okay. So the first difference here is activity or process, and goods is a physical product, object. So when we talk about this one, already we talked about that service is basically an activity or a process. Okay, that means it is being given like an activity. For example, we talk about a salon. The person is there and he is giving, he's providing the service of shaving to a particular person. So what it is an activity, it is a process going on. If a person is going to a makeup studio, right, for the makeup to be done on her face, so what will happen? It is again an activity or a process that is being done. Okay, but when we talk about goods, goods is a physical object. We talked about that if I think that I need a radio for me, so I go to a particular electronics shop and I ask that person that I need a radio, a proper good one. So he'll start showing me that. So what is this? I can see that particular thing. I can touch it, I can feel it, I can see it has a physical appearance. Again, so good is a physical object. You can see it. But when we talk about a service, it is basically an activity or a process that goes on. Okay. The next one when we talk about is tangibility and intangibility. This we already discussed in the feature also. When we talk about services, services are basically intangible. How they are intangible? Because it does not have any physical appearance. Physical appearance as in you cannot see it, you cannot feel it. You can just say that okay, I know this is going on, but you cannot touch it, right? It is intangible. It does not have any physical appearance. But rather than when we talk about the goods, they are tangible. Obviously, they have a physical appearance. I gave an example of Starbucks coffee, sorry. So you could see the coffee, right? It is again tangible. That means it has a physical appearance. So when the product is having tangibility, it is a good. But the services when we talk about, it is always intangible, right? The next, when we talk about this difference between services and goods, it says the first one, inconsistent, and goods are consistent. Now, if you remember, one of the feature we talked about was inconsistency. Now, what is inconsistency? I told you inconsistency basically means that it depends on the customer. That means it variations are there, fluctuations are there. That means each customer will be having different service. It will not be same. Like yesterday, we discussed one example that we three people, let's just support Harshita, me, and Siddhi. We three are going to a doctor. I am having leg pain, she's having eye pain, and she's having stomach ache. So the doctor will not provide the same medicines to three of us. No. So what does it mean? That each and every demand, okay, is being fulfilled for different customers, and it is thereby inconsistent. It depends what person needs what. It actually depends on your needs and demands and wants, right? When we talk about goods, it is consistent. Now all customers get a standardized product. How? Now one of the question that could arise will be that, ma'am, when we go to a Starbucks coffee shop, you said it is a good, but there we see a proper menu card. We have different variants, right? We have latte, we have mocha, we have other variants as well. So now how it is consistent? Yes, it is consistent. Why? Because we have a certain defined. You will not say there and say, okay, just mix some tea, some coffee, and some milk and some chocolate and then make it. They will not do it according to you. They have a particular menu, decided, and then you have to choose among them, among the one of them. So that is again standardized product. You have certain variants. They could give you certain variants. When we talk about a proper mobile phone, what will happen? We have mobile phones. We have in Apple, we have 6s, we have 7, we have 8, we have 11. So variants are there, but it is a standardized product. That means you cannot make it yourself, or the person who is giving you the service cannot make it himself, right? It is not that different customers will be having different demands, so we need to change it according to them. Suppose if I go and I say that I want an Apple phone, I want a successful. Okay. And I'll say, the camera is at the behind. I want the camera like 11, but the model should be of success only. Will it happen? The 11, Apple 11 camera is different from what is there in success. So my demand and my needs and my wants are different. But when we talk about a particular good, it is a standardized product. It will not change according to you. But when we talk about a service, yes, it can change. Suppose if we talk about a makeup studio we were talking about, I go to a makeup studio and I say I want a red I want red eyeshadow, and another person says I need blue eyeshadow. What is it? Inconsistency. Whatever you need, whatever you want, your demands will be fulfilled according to that. So that is again, each and every customer needs and wants is being provided by services by having fluctuation, or you can say inconsistency, that each and every customer will be having different demands and different needs and wants. So it will be fulfilled by the inconsistency, because it can change according to your preferences. Okay. So I hope this inconsistency and consistency is clear when we talk about services and goods. Let's proceed to the second one. Sorry. Yeah. So again, one feature, if you see in the services and the goods difference, we are all talking about mainly the features of services only, which we have studied already. Inseparability, we just studied about inseparability. So here, production and consumption at the same time, which we talked about, that when we talk about a service, when it is being produced, it needs to be consumed at that particular time only, right? But when we talk about goods, it is separable. Again, I'll quote the same example. If you remember the Starbucks coffee one. So what happened? That I went into a coffee shop, I ordered a coffee and I said, I won't have it here. I will consume it at my home. So it does not matter, right? It is separable because it is being done at different times. Sometimes it happens, I go and I purchase a particular phone, maybe. I purchase a particular mobile phone. So what will happen? I will say, okay, just, I'll just purchase it. But is it mandatory that I open the phone then and there only and I start using the phone and then and there only? No, it is not that. I will come back at my home, then do the what you say, unboxing of that particular phone, and then I'll start using it. So it is separable. It can be done at different times. But when we talk about services, they are separated. That means the production and the consumption are at the same time only. When we talk about a doctor, if I am not there, if I will not be consuming his services then and there, how will I cure myself? Again, when we talk about shaving person, we talk about the salon, a person goes in there for shaving. So if he will not consume the services, he will not get the particular result. So it is inseparable. That means production and consumption should be done at the same time. And when we talk about goods, it is separated. That means it can be done at different times also. It is not mandatory that you have to do it there. Okay. Next one is, we just talked about no inventory. We talked about that the service do not need any inventory, but obviously goods needs inventory. Obviously, if I go to a showroom of a mobile and I say, show me the variants, he has to show me the variants, no? If I go to a doctor, I will not say if you have a menu card or, you have something to show me. He doesn't have anything, right? Other than his stethoscope and his, material of the doctor, he doesn't have anything. He will not show me the variants. But goods, when we talk about, I have a choice to make. I will go there and I will say, show me all the variants of this Vivo phone, let's suppose. So he will show me all the variants. So he needs to have inventory for the same. That means inventory, again I repeat, inventory is basically stock. That means he needs to have a stock when it comes to goods. But yes, for services, no inventory is required, right? So this is basically the summing up of basically what we just went through, the difference between the services and the goods. When we talked about service, it is an activity or a process. But when we talk about goods, it is a physical object. Again, when we talk about services, it is basically intangible because we cannot touch, we cannot feel. It is basically no physical appearance. But goods, they are tangible. Then is inconsistency and consistency. Inconsistency means it fluctuates with the people. That means it tends to change. But when we talk about goods, it is consistent. That means it is collaborative and it is a group of standardized products. ये change नहीं होगा आपके needs and wants के according. Next is services, inseparable and separable. The next one is no inventory and it has inventory. So just in case you have this question in your question paper or wherever, the trick to learn it, obviously I tend to give so much of tricks in between. So the trick could be that you learn the 5 main features of service. When you know the features of service, you will be able to give the answer for services versus goods as well, right? So the difference, obviously, these last 4 points we already discussed it as in for the difference, as in for the features. But now when we talk about the first one, it also is the definition for the same, right? So it will be good if you go through the features properly and then you go on with the difference, right? Let's proceed on. Now we're going to start on with types of service. In the starting, we were talking about what services basically are, right? What service, what is the nature of the service, what you understand by service, and the difference between service and goods. But now we're going to start on with types of service. कौन से type of services होते हैं? Let's talk about first one, which is a business service. Now, business service is basically the main one for us right now. Why? Because the chapter is based upon business service only. But before starting on, we were doing the introduction. We were talking about what services actually mean to us, right? And what is basically the nature and what is the difference between the services and the goods. Now, we're going to start on with business services. The types of service. The first one is the business service. Now, what are business services? If you remember, we studied in this first chapter also, where we talked about how the business is being conducted. Okay, let me just read it out. They provide services to business enterprises for the conduct of their activities. That means in order to conduct the activities of the business in a proper way, such activities are being done, like banking, insurance, transportation, warehousing, communication, etc. So these are basically the service which are being used by the business enterprise to carry on their business activities more smoothly. Let me talk about this. When we talk about warehousing, you remember warehousing we discussed. Warehousing is basically what? If I have a lot of stock with me, where will I keep the stock? I will not keep all the stock in my house, right? If I have 5 shops in Delhi, I will keep the stock somewhere, okay? And where should I keep? I will make a warehouse. Warehouse is also called a go down. People call it go down also. How it is done? Why it is done? It is basically done to smooth off. You remember H2 trade? This was one of the topic which we discussed. H2 trade. So these are all basically done in order to smooth off the business activities. Business की जो भी activities होंगी, regular activities जो भी होती है, उनको smooth करने के लिए, उनको convenient बनाने के लिए, we do this, right? Again, when we talk about transportation का मतलब क्या है? If I want to sell something, suppose I have a business of some goods, okay, and I need to send the product to Jaipur. Now how will I send? I need transportation for that, right? How we are able to manage, how big companies are able to manage the business between foreign countries and our home country. How it is done? Through the ship, through the plane, they are being sent. How it is done? It is basically done by going on and using the transportation service, right? So these are basically the business services that we basically use in order to smooth, or in order to make the things more convenient. Again, when we talk about warehousing, हमने warehousing के बारे में भी बात किया, that if it will not be there, अगर मैं कहीं store ही नहीं कर पाऊंगी अपना सामान, so what will be my thing, what will be my take, how will I go on with my business? So it is very very difficult to go on with uh, what you can say, it is very difficult to go on and proceed on without business services. Okay, so these are the basic business services when we talk about banking, insurance, transportation, warehousing, communication, and etc. Right? So when we are going to talk elaborately about each and every service. So this is our basically chapter wherein we are going to talk about each and every service. We're going to talk about banking service, insurance service, transportation, warehousing, communication, each and every service we are going to read, and we are going to study in this chapter in detail. But let's just have it in brief right now. The first one is business service, right? Now we're going to proceed with the second service. The second service is basically social service. Now you must have seen that people are getting into NGOs. Okay, what is NGO? And you must have seen nowadays, people are very much into social media, and they tend to share a lot of things about NGOs are coming up. They are saving the street dogs. They are providing food to the street dogs, or they are having particular campaign wherein they are going and giving food to you can say poor people. So why? If you know, I don't know you guys are aware or not, we have Goonj. I'll spell it Goonj. It's Goonj. It's basically an NGO in Delhi only, and it has various other people are working there. So why are they working? What is the point of working like this? They are working, so basically the social services are carried voluntarily. That means they are doing it voluntarily. That means apne man se. They are not being called upon, or they're not given any money for the same. They just come up themselves in order to work for the upliftment of the society. Upliftment means in order to provide good status, or you can say good standard of living to each and every human present in our society. They want to work for the society. And what they want to achieve, they want to achieve certain social goals. Certain social goals means they want that people should have a good standard of living. It could be one of the thing. Or they provide improved sanitation, provide it is provided in the slum areas. Or some of the NGOs are also there which are providing education as well. If you this Goonj, what I'm talking about in Delhi, what it does is it goes to other slum areas in Mumbai, or it goes to some weaker sections in you can say uh, village areas. There they go, and what they do is they basically put their education camps is basically for 1 month they'll put it, and the members will be going there, and they are going to be a part of it, and they're going to teach the poor people or the villagers or the small children who are there who cannot afford to go to schools. So this is what they do. This is social service. Okay, in order to achieve certain social goals, and also to work for the upliftment of the society, right? If you see in here, for improving the standard of living of weaker section of the society, or providing education, healthcare, etc. If you see in the picture, it has already been shown that there's, I think this is a village area or somewhere. And what is happening, this NGO has, put a medical camp, okay, wherein we can see a lot of certain doctors which are there and they're doing health checkup. So this is a free health checkup that they're doing. So why they're doing, they're not getting any money for it. It's just they're doing it for the social welfare, or you can say social upliftment of the society, to improve the healthcare of the society, to improve the standard of living of the society. So it is not that they're getting anything out of it. Okay. So one, I don't remember the name. I'll just share it once I remember. There's one another this NGO which is for the dogs. Okay, which is for the animals basically. Okay, so what they do is in Delhi also and in various other parts, they have just made a lot of members. So what they're doing is nowadays lockdown is there, right? So now it has been uplifted a bit. Unlock is going on, but still, still the situation are not exactly the same as they were earlier. So what happens? The dogs, they had nothing to eat. The earlier past 2 months, 3 months were very, very crucial for the animals basically, because dogs were not getting anything to eat and all these things. So what they were doing, they were actually asking the people if they could donate something, because their donations go on, right? They're not here to ask money, or they won't do something like this. But yeah, they actually, they are dependent on the donations. If the people could donate at least 100 rupees or 200 rupees each, and so that they could go on with their good work. So this is how they go on. So I also donated in that. So what happened basically, they were going to each and every area, and they were providing food to the dogs every night. They used to go. And even the last past month, what they did, they went on, and small, you can say, small houses are being built when poor people are living. You must have seen near your house or wherever, some areas are there. So they provided food there also. So that is again their own social service. SNEA that they're going to get anything out of it, but yeah, they're just working on it. Okay, so this is when we talk about the social service. And this is not always about NGOs. It goes on with certain, it is carried on by government also. It is carried on by business enterprises also, or NGOs also. Koi aisa business, if some business is there. I remember this Ambani's business, the Reliance one. It is having one this thing wherein they provide free education to this poor people. It has been carried on by his wife. Okay, so what they're doing, they're not charging any money. They go in any slum area or somewhere, they have certain members associated with them, and they are going to certain slum areas or some villages, and they are providing education to them there, right? So this is again, big business tycoons and all, they also provide such social services to the people. Okay, so we're going to stop in here because we already discussed a bit today. We are going to continue it on Monday in the next class further, and we're going to talk about the third kind of service, which is a personal service. And then we are going to start on with the chapter mainly, wherein we are going to discuss in detail about the business services. So I hope you liked today's session.